Welcome to The Shift, how technically skilled construction professionals stop micromanaging and become effective leaders. You have made a terrific choice to join me here today. You're going to get a lot of information coming your way, but there's going to be some tremendously practical things that you can do as a result of what you've learned here today. And I do want to encourage you. I know we're in the middle of the workday, lunchtime on the Pacific Coast, but I want you to rise above whatever it is that's going on. I can guarantee you that for 90% of you, stuff's going to be happening in the next hour, but most of it will not be the end of the world. And so think about this time as your oasis. Your time is extremely valuable. I want you to get an ROI on the time that you spend with me here today. So like I said at the beginning, before we started recording, what's the one thing that you want to walk away with? That's what I want you to be thinking about here today. As we go through the information, you'll learn a number of different frameworks, but really I want you to think about one thing that you're going to do, that one idea that can give you a return on investment for your time here this morning. In terms of the oasis, I'd like you to shut down your screens. I'd like you to pick up a pen if you've got one, some sort of writing instrument, and then I want you to participate. Participate in the session here today. The more you participate just by typing into the box, we've got a bunch of people on the call, so I won't be calling on you to speak, but I will be asking you to type into the box, give me feedback. I'll be responding to that feedback, and that will help you to stay engaged as we go through the process here today. Okay, so let's just do a little bit of history. 2004 to 2007. In construction, everybody was a genius. This is when I first started working with contractors back in 2004. We rode the wave that was pretty sustainable all throughout the country. 2008 to 2012, I think we probably all recall that, many of us here. And everyone seemed to be kind of dumb at that point, right? The geniuses became dunces. 2013 to 2019, everything was going awesome. And I'm naturally a skeptical person, so I was waiting for the shoe to drop and for something to go wrong. And along came 2020, and everything was still awesome. And then good old coronavirus hit. It's been a disruption to us, but one thing I love about construction companies is that you guys are resilient, you're tough, you're adaptable, you're optimistic, and you push through. And though it was a challenge, I think it was a challenge that many of you have met tremendously well. I like this quote: "The true man is revealed in difficult times. So when trouble comes, think of yourself as a wrestler whom God, like a trainer, has paired with a tough young buck. For what purpose? To turn you into Olympic class material." And that is from the Roman philosopher Epictetus. So tough times reveal our character. And I think it's from the people I've worked with, these tough times have really been tremendously helpful in getting people dialed in, getting people to focus in on what's most important. And as we look at 2020 to 2021, I think the emphasis is going to be improvise, adapt, overcome, continue to face the situation as it is and continue to move forward, building our companies. And that's why this training is so important here today. And I want to begin with asking about this idea of micromanaging. So when you think of micromanagement, just type into the box for me, chat that in for me. What does that mean to you? Micromanagement. Give me a little bit of feedback on that. Erwin, hand in everything. Yeah, Jim, hands on all. Do not trust people, do not empower. Yep. Doing for others what they can do on their own. So if I really like that, I really like that. Think about that for a moment, friends. What are you doing for other people that they should be doing? One of the key things you need to learn to do, if you haven't already, is to clearly define your role and responsibility and to commit yourself to only doing your role and responsibility and catching yourself when you're doing other people's role and responsibility. Ken, solving detailed problems that other people can do. Yep. Taking on the concern and responsibility others should handle. Yes. Yes. Now, ask yourself, how much time do you spend micromanaging? Give me a little feedback. Is that something that you struggle with? Micromanagement, is it really something that you struggle with, or is it not a big concern? Okay, Erwin, a lot. Thank you. Okay. I just want to make sure Yeah, too much. Okay. All right. Now, let me ask you another question here and just reflect, please. Why does micromanagement happen? As you look at yourself particularly, and I do want you to focus on yourself here, why is it that you micromanage? Shane, lack of trust. Okay. Alexi, yeah, many workers are not experienced or skilled. Okay. So it can be a training issue. Poor accountability. Learning to balance training new team members versus letting them do the job I hired them to do. Elijah, see, there's a tension there, isn't there? It's a tension you have to face as a leader. And the best leaders get better and better at negotiating that tension. And it's challenging. It's very challenging. Justin, poor accountability. Michael did it with Elijah. Excellent. I think Elijah really described it well there. And so it's very important that we focus in on how to overcome that micromanagement. So let me ask you, how does it feel when you're being micromanaged? Put yourself, maybe you're in a leadership role now where you don't have a lot of people managing you, but think back to a time when you were micromanaged, or perhaps right now you're being micromanaged. How does that feel? Yeah, suffocating, disabling. Yeah, it's very interesting. With the best intentions, we could be suffocating people that we lead. That's a very interesting. Disheartening. Yeah, these are strong words. So then here's a question then. In your mind, in your experience, how do you fix micromanagement? How do you stop that? How do you fix it? Okay, Shane, set expectations. I like that. Outline deliverables. Alexi, very good. Let go. Okay, very good. What I'd like you to be thinking about as we go through the process here today is to keep this big idea of micromanagement in mind and think about the frameworks that I share with you and how those frameworks can help you to overcome micromanagement. Ken, let them fail. Very interesting. And we've got to balance the failure with the risk because there's always risk involved. Steve, I like that. Teach them the correct principles. Let them govern themselves. Establish procedures, train, verify, empower. Very good. Okay, excellent. Now, I can tell by the answers that I've received here that you guys have thought about this. It's something that's been something that you've considered. And what we want to do is focus in on making incremental improvement in our leadership. All right. Now, there's not a magic pill when it comes to leadership. I'm going to be emphasizing that here today. It's all about incremental improvement over time, taking simple, usable frameworks and disciplining yourself to execute on those frameworks. And so I'm going to be sharing with you four key frameworks here today that you can use and apply right away. My goal is to help you to juggle your time and your leadership responsibilities effectively. I'd like you to learn how to build and sustain a high-performing team. And so I'm going to be laying the foundation for that in today's webinar. We're going to be talking about the EAR leadership framework, and I'm going to explain what I mean by that, but it's a communication framework that you can use on a consistent basis to really make sure that you and your team are on the same page. And then we're going to be talking about how to reach an agreement on solving problems in your organization. You may feel that you're not very good at helping your team solve problems, or that sometimes your team is resistant to solving problems, to coming to an agreement. And it's really not a case of their resistance or your leadership. It more has a case to do with the way you structure your meetings. And so I'm going to be teaching you how to structure a meeting to get to some agreement. And that can help you specifically with overcoming micromanagement. For those of you who stick around to the end, I'm going to give you a special bonus. It's a framework that I use with my clients, how to stop being overwhelmed and start being effective. I will be emailing that out to everyone who sticks around to the end. Okay, so I'm also going to be talking about how you can get some additional help. Today's webinar is a preview of a much deeper dive into a leadership training framework that I use with my clients. And I'll talk a little bit about in the webinar how you can participate in that deeper dive if you wish. A little bit about me. I know some of you on the call here today, many of you I don't know. My name is Eric Anderton. My company is Construction Genius. The focus of my business is to help you to pile up profit in your construction company by improving your leadership, focusing on clear strategies, and selling more work. This is a quote from one of my clients about what my training is like. It's effective, hands-on, practical, simple, no BS. That is exactly what you're going to get today in this session. Okay. These are some of the folks that I work with. You'll notice that if you know someone like Level 10, they're $1 billion commercial general contractor. Tykert Construction is a $500 million specialty contractor. So I've got a variety of specialty and subcontractors that I work with. Some are very large, some are relatively small, but all are totally awesome. And this is what one of my clients says about working with me. One thing that stood out with Eric was his knowledge of construction and being familiar with terms specific to our field. Because Eric knows the terms and understands the ins and outs of a construction business, it was much easier for us to communicate and achieve the results we're looking for. Our time with Eric was of great value. I have no hesitation in recommending Eric Anderton to others. And if you want to learn more about the work I do with my clients, you can go out to my website, constructiongenius.com and /clients. Plenty of feedback there. Okay. All right. Let's dive into the training. 4 things we're going to cover. The first one, I really want to help you how to juggle your responsibility as a leader with your direct reports. And to do that, I have a framework that I call the Construction Leaders Dashboard. So let me ask you this. What is a telescope, a rifle, and a pot? What do they share in common? What do all of these share in common? A telescope, a rifle, and a pot. Chat that into the box for me. What do they share in common? See, Shane says tools. Mm-hmm. You are correct, Shane. They are all tools. Human interaction is needed to use its potential. Thank you, Erwin. Yeah, it's very good. Very good. That's very true with tools. Okay, so the dashboard is a tool to help you to be a better leader. All right. And my goal is to help you to get clarity, focus, and establish boundaries for your leadership that are helpful. It's not a magic pill. It's something that you must use. Okay. So let me ask you this. As a construction leader, what is your duty? What is your duty as a construction leader? Give me some feedback on that. What is your duty as a construction leader? Robert, organize and empower. Excellent. Justin, very interesting. Protecting the public. That's very interesting. Thank you for that. Safety and completion of work. Excellent. Thank you. Soph, set goals for the team. Okay, Ken. Know the trade. Know the trade. Okay. Excellent. Know the trade and support your team. Thank you, Monica. Build a successful team and project. Vision. Get people to do the right work. Work for the owner's best interest. Thank you, Matt. I like that. Alexia, teacher. Okay, excellent. Let me just give you some thoughts here. Number 1, increase revenue. Number 2, increase efficiency. Thirdly, cut or contain costs. Stay in compliance. And that has an emphasis on safety as well. And so I'd like to begin just with the top of the Construction Leaders Dashboard. I just want to begin by just talking about the top of it. And the idea of vision is what you want your career to look like over the next 2 to 5 years. So if you could articulate where you'd like to be 2 to 5 years from now, where would it be in terms of your leadership? And the reason this is important is people who lack vision, they're kind of like chickens with their heads cut off, with a lack of focus, and they're merely average in their performance. People who have a clear vision, they tend to have more focus, and it's easier for them to achieve excellence. So where would you like to be 2 to 5 years from now in terms of your career? No matter what position you're in, where would you like to be? What's your vision for yourself as a leader? Give me some feedback there, please. Erwin, a mentor role instead of operational. Yeah, we should always be aspiring to that as leaders. We perhaps may never be able to get completely out of the operational role, but we would like to be more mentoring. Excellent. Retired at the beach. Yep, I like that. That's an ambition of some of us. Excellent. So if you do want to be retired 2 to 5 years from now, you got to really think about what's the work that you have to do. And it's interesting, we don't have answers flowing in here too much, and it's something for you to reflect on. Robert, leave a huge wake. Thank you. That's a good one. Think about that vision of yours. Scaled business. Thank you, Michael. Multiple employees, significant revenue increase. Excellent. Justin, not stressed beyond reason. Matt, better than I am now. Joe, guiding. Okay, this is excellent. Excellent. So it's really, really important. Chris, thank you. Transitioning into a senior PM or project executive role. Okay, so Chris, that's very specific. I like that. And you want to think about your dashboard in terms of that specific goal that you have there. Leading a design and sales team successfully. Thank you, Alexi. Once you've articulated a vision where you want to be, you want to then think about your mission. That's the why. So what difference or contribution do you want to make? What gets you excited about the impact you can have in your career? Because many people it's just kind of a conformity that people fall into. They don't really have a clear mission. And again, they just achieve average performance. But people who have a clear mission, a distinct mission, it gives them a sense of persistence in the midst of difficulty. And very often people with a clear mission are able to achieve what it is they set out to achieve. So let me ask you, what's your why? What's driving you in your leadership? Because if you're going to be successful as a leader, it's a tremendously difficult thing to achieve. What's driving you? What's your mission? Give me a little bit of feedback on that if you can think about it. If you can articulate that, and just let me know here, please. What is your mission? Watching people succeed. That's really interesting. Thank you, Robert. Enjoying the work and the product. Thank you, Alexi. That's excellent. One thing I find about construction, one of my clients said to me once, construction, it sucks, but it's fun. So that's a tremendous thing about construction. It is deeply challenging, but it is deeply enjoyable. So think about that mission there for yourself. Being a well-respected team that is really good at what they do. Excellent. Enjoy the journey. Learning new things as a young adult, getting my foot in the door to this thing called life. Thank you, Madison. Tremendous. That's beautiful. I tell you, if you're on the webinar here today and you're young, I'm encouraged that you're here. One of the great advantages you have as a young person is you have time. Time is on your side, as Mick Jagger told us once. And so take advantage of that time. All right. Now, once you've got a mission, you need to think about your values. Things are tremendously busy in construction. There's lots of conflict. Sometimes people can feel overwhelmed and they get pushed away through the conflicts and the challenges from how they really should be showing up and behaving. So think about your values. What are those core values that drive the way that you behave? Those values that give you the ability to say yes and no, and that really help you with a sense of direction and integrity in your life. Do me a favor, type into the box one value, one way of behaving that drives you in your life. What is that one value or way of behaving? Ethical, accountable, excellence. Integrity, thank you, Joe. Okay. Integrity, empathy, kindness, curiosity. Okay, that's beautiful. What you want to be thinking about when you extreme ownership. Thank you, Christopher. When you're articulating your values, you always want to think about how is it that I can express those values in the way that I lead, and think about your values in terms of how can I use those values to become a better leader, specifically in some of the areas of micromanagement that I might be struggling with. Okay. Now, once you've articulated your values, this is a really interesting thought. What is your edge? What are your unique talents that set you apart? What are your unique attributes, qualities, gifts, and strengths that you bring to the table? Okay. Some people, they're not really clear on what their edge is, and so they get scattered and they never reach their full potential. So what I'd like you to do is to think about it in terms of this. Phrase a question like this: unlike others in my field, what is that? What do you do that is different from other people in your field? What is your edge? And you can find your edge in the combination of how you think and how you behave and what you're interested in. But think about that for a moment. What is your edge? Type that into the box. Robert, experience and unique adaptability. Very interesting. Okay. Excellent. I know in your position, Robert, how important adaptability is. Okay. Questioning things that others accept. That is a good edge right there. Good stuff there, Justin. Organization and experience from the corporate world. Very interesting one right there. Very interesting. Think about perhaps you're working for a more entrepreneurial company, but you have that organization and experience from the corporate world and you can help people there. That's excellent. Explorer of new ways of doing things. Matt, your edge may be more rounded corner. That's cool. Michael, emotional intelligence, not afraid of honesty. Excellent. Clear communication. Chris, that is tremendous. Okay. Come up the ladder into the office from the field. Yes, Alexi, that can be awesome too. Organized and tenacious. Thank you, Ken. Organized, helping others. Thank you, Madison. All right, cool. You've got to know what your edge is. If you're not sure, try and define that. Try and catch yourself doing something well. Think about when others have noticed you doing something well that perhaps you're not even conscious of. That is really, really important. Steve, tell you what you need to hear, even if you don't want to hear it. That can be a tremendous edge. Very good. All right, now, all of these things, your vision, your mission, your values, your edge, these are your mindset. This is what drives the way that you behave. This is sort of your internal compass, and that should lead to your action. So your initiatives, the metrics that you track, your relationships, and your development opportunities. And we're not going to dive into all of the detail there, but that's the second half of the Construction Leaders Dashboard. The first half is defining that mindset. The second half is then diving into the action. And I'll just provide you an extra bonus here. If you would like a copy of the Construction Leaders Dashboard so that you can fill it out for yourself, just send me an email, eric@constructiongenius.com, and I'll make sure to send you a copy so that you have that, okay? All right. So the Construction Leaders Dashboard is fundamental to you understanding how it is that you need to be showing up on a daily basis. And as you articulate that dashboard, it'll really help you to think through, where are some of the areas that I'm micromanaging? Where can I begin to do a better job working with my team so that they're more responsible for what they need to be doing and I'm doing more leading and holding accountable? Okay. All right, just give me a hand, just raise your hand for me if you're with me so far and you're getting some value from what we're going through here. Just raise your hand. Excellent. Okay, just want to make sure I'm making sense. Always like to check in. Thank you. Now let's talk about high performance. And the goal here is to help you to build a high-performing team. In order for you to build a high-performing team, you yourself have to understand high performance. So I'd like to do a little bit of remember when. I'd like you to think back to a time in your academic career, or perhaps your sporting career, or your job, when you achieved high performance. Okay? Now, just think back to that time, and let me ask you, what did you focus on in order to achieve high performance? Can you remember that? If you can, type that into the box. Alexi, planning. Very good. Okay? Matt, lots of failures. So the failure led to the high performance. That's interesting. I'd like to say this. One of the key attributes of a successful leader is humility. And what I mean by that is this. You're going to fail as a leader, but if you can learn from those failures, if you can acknowledge those failures and remedy those failures quickly, that can help you to really push forward. Ken, hard work. Interesting. Justin, being willing. Soph, elimination of distractions. I think that's excellent, right? Excellent right there. Perseverance. Thank you, Monica. Collaboration. Okay. Very interesting. Interesting. Okay. So focus. Yeah, very good. Erwin, not afraid of being hit. That's very interesting. Always learning. Okay. Now, I'd like to tell you a story about a young woman named Mary. When Mary was 13 years old, she decided to break the world record in the 200-meter butterfly. Okay, she's a swimmer. And I'd like to make an emphasis here in light of high performance about the difference between quantitative performance and qualitative performance. When she made that decision to break the 200-meter world record, she made a couple of changes that were qualitative in nature. So in other words, she didn't decide to swim more laps. Instead, she focused on two things. The first one, she made a commitment to showing up on time to practice. And the second one is that she had a small technique change. And I'm not really an expert in swimming at all, but my understanding is what Mary did is she decided instead of touching with one hand on her turns, she was going to touch with 2 hands. And apparently when you touch with 2 hands instead of 1, that helps with your speed. It speeds you up in terms of your swim times. If any of you guys are swimming experts, that may sound familiar to you. So it's interesting. To achieve high performance, you don't necessarily have to do more, but you need to focus in on doing better. And to achieve high performance, you have to be able to manage by outcomes. So I'd like to give you a definition of high performance. And this is it. Concentrating on the few tasks that, if done with excellence, will really make a difference in the results of your job and in the performance of your company. Now, as you look at that definition, just type into the box, what is one or 2 words of that definition that really strike you, that look to be important in terms of achieving high performance? Just type that in for me, please, guys. Madison, concentrating. Yep. Excellent. Few. Elijah, very good. Very good. I tell you, we as leaders, sometimes we try and do too much. We need to do less as opposed to more. Few, excellence. Few, yeah, Michael, yeah. Done with excellence. Thank you, Jim. Make a difference. Excellent. Okay, good. Clarity, figuring out what the problem is and attacking aggressively. Okay, excellent. All right, now, this is what I want you to think about now. This is a little bit of work for you. If you're going to build a high-performing team, you yourself have to be a high performer. So whatever aspect of the business you are in, whether it's bidding the work, planning the work, building the work, billing the work, or maybe all of those, what I'd like you to think about is, in your position, what are the top 3 outcomes that you're expected to achieve in your position? Just think about that for a moment. What are the top 3 outcomes that you're expected to achieve in your position? I'd like you to pick your most important outcome. Think about those top 3 and pick your most important outcome. I'm going to give you a minute here. Think about your top 3 outcomes and then pick your most important outcome, the thing that you are supposed to achieve in your position. Then do me a favor. If you've got it, that most important outcome, type it into the box, please. Ken, customer satisfaction. Alexi, protect money. Okay, I like that. Very good. Safe results. Thank you, Robert. Excellent. Win the right work. Joe, I like that emphasis on the right work. Steve, good communication. Okay, you guys got the idea here. Consistency. Okay, Craig, consistency. Very good. Miguel, continuous improvement. Okay, thank you, Miguel. Now, as you're thinking about your most important outcome, the next step I would like you to take is to ask yourself, what are the top 3 actions or tasks that lead to that outcome? Okay. What are the top 3 actions or tasks that lead to that outcome? And just write that down for me, please. You don't need to type it into the box. I don't want you to do that. I just want you to write it down. I'll give you 30 seconds here to think about it. Just off the top of your head, what are the top 3 actions that lead to that most important outcome? You notice I'm going slowly here so that you kind of get the idea of the process. We've got plenty of time. It's good to focus here. So you should have your most important outcome, and you're thinking now about the top 3 actions that lead to that outcome. All right, now, you may know where I'm going with this. Pick your most important task. Type into the box for me your most important task that leads to your most important outcome. Robert, clear communication. Alexi, increase initial pricing. Very interesting. Very interesting. I like that. It's very specific. Networking. Thank you, Soph. Build high quality jobs. Okay. Identify risks. What you'll notice as you're looking at the chat box, you'll see that some of these tasks are very big. Some of them are smaller, and that's perfectly fine. Team member development. Thank you, Craig. A simple design that checks all the boxes. Matt, thank you. The right relationships, being engaged. Okay, now, this is key here. You're thinking about how you can improve your performance. This is the question. In what specific ways can I improve my performance of this task? You've got your most important outcome. You've got your most important task that leads to your most important outcome. And now you want to ask, in what specific ways can I improve my performance of this task? So I'm going to give you 30 seconds to think about that. In what specific ways can you improve your performance of this task? And I want you to write down at least one idea and be as specific as you can. Okay, I got answers coming in here. Matt, minimize distractions, focus on the task at hand. Ken, I'd like to ask you, Ken, how your outcome, your task was to build high quality jobs, and that was in light of customer service. What was the one thing that you wrote down in terms of how you can improve your performance of that task that leads to that outcome? Robert, understanding the listeners. I like that. Steve, better focus. Ken Howell, better management of my PMs. Okay. So this is really good with Ken. Ken wants customer satisfaction is key. Building projects successfully leads to customer satisfaction. Managing the PMs leads to better projects, leads to customer satisfaction. Now, Ken, you could spend a lot of excellent time thinking through in what specific ways can I better manage my PMs? That would be the question to ask, and do some brainstorming around that. And that can really help you focus in on that excellence. Okay. All right. I see that many of you have very specific things that you can do here. So this is excellent. Very good. Okay. Now let's get back to Mary. Mary said, people don't know how ordinary success is. Remember, what Mary did in order to achieve her goal or to begin that process is she simply started showing up on time and touching with two hands at the end of every lap. In 1979, at age 14, she broke that world record. And in 1984, she won 3 gold medals in the Olympic Games in Los Angeles. This is Mary Mager. So high performance is something that is within all of our abilities if we are thoughtful about it. If we can identify our outcomes, the tasks that lead to the outcomes, the most important tasks that lead to that outcome, and then how I can improve my performance of the task, I can achieve high performance. And then this is something that I can use to teach others how to achieve high performance. Now, just raise your hand if you think you can teach this simple process to other people. Excellent. Excellent. I'm getting some raised hands here. This is a process that's simple, but it's extremely effective if you can sit down and just walk people through it step by step by step. Okay, excellent. All right, so we've talked about how you can manage yourself. We've talked about high performance. Now we're going to talk about the EAR framework, and I'm going to explain this to you here. We're making good progress. Right now we're at 11:37. I think we're going to be going here until about 12:15 Pacific time, just so you know, but we'll be definitely done by 12:30. You're hanging in here with me. I really appreciate it. Just raise your hand for me right now if you're getting some value as we go through the process here, just so I know that we're, okay, good. Excellent. Good, good, good. Thank you. Thank you. You know how it is when we're going through these Zoom meetings, you want to make sure that everyone is getting something out of it. And that's my goal for you, is to get some value here today. All right. Now, communication, in my mind, I've been working with contractors since 2004. The contractors who communicate the best, all things being equal in terms of technical skills, are the ones who make the most money. And in terms of team communication, there are 3 messages that you need to communicate as a leader to your people on a regular basis. And those messages are surrounding encouragement, accountability, and recognition. And so I'd like you to just imagine, you can imagine it in your mind, or you can begin to sketch it out on a piece of paper that you're using, your org chart. And regardless of where you sit in your org chart, perhaps you're lower down on the org chart right now, you don't have a bunch of people reporting to you, or perhaps you're at the top of the org chart and you're responsible for the entire organization to one degree or another. I'd like you to think about your org chart and the people who sit in that org chart at the moment. And the 3 messages that you're going to be communicating is encouragement. And the key phrase to remember is, you can do it. And then accountability. And the key phrase is, did you do it? And then the last is recognition. And the key phrase there is, you did it. So you can do it. That's encouragement. Accountability, did you do it? And then recognition, you did it. And this is where I get the EAR framework from. And I know it's a little cheesy, but it's helpful to help you to remember the messages that you need to communicate. EAR is how you spell EAR. E is encouragement, A is accountability, R is recognition. So if you ever need to remind yourself of the messages you need to communicate as a leader, all you need to do is grab your EAR. Now, what I'd like you to do is to think about that org chart. And if you can be, if you've got it sketched out, even in a rough way, you need to be asking yourself, Who needs encouragement? Who needs accountability? Who needs recognition? Okay, so here's a question. How do you encourage people? Type that into the box for me. How do you encourage people? Perhaps think about someone who has encouraged you in your life as in a leadership role. How did that encouragement happen? Just give me some feedback here, guys. How do you encourage people? Show them their progress. Interesting, Elijah. Acknowledgement of task, difficulty and effort. Thank you, Michael. Talk about progress. Shane, recognize their good characteristics. Soph, notice their motivation. Interesting. I'd like to sort of make it very practical here. One of the ways that we encourage people is by giving them responsibility. Yeah, I like that, Steve. Inviting them to do hard things. Okay. Delegation is one of the key areas that we need to improve as leaders, and it's one of the keys to being an effective leader that micromanages less. All right. So why don't we delegate to people? Why don't we delegate? In your experience, why don't we delegate? We don't trust them to do it, or it seems like it would be easier to do it yourself. Shane, thank you. Afraid and can't trust. Madison, yep. So Erwin, you're saying there, if it's your money and they may not feel the pain, or they may not have that sense of responsibility. Yeah. Lack of vision, insufficient outcome. It's faster to do it than to teach it. Yep. Yeah. All of these things. Okay. Nobody. Yes, Steve. Thank you for being honest there. Nobody, let me just say this. Nobody does it like you. That's very true. You're in a leadership position because you do things well, and you're probably better than many of the people that report to you in one degree or another. And you've got to get over that. You've got to get over that if you're going to be able to be an effective leader. Okay. So some of the reasons why we don't delegate: we like to be the hero. We like to save the day. We're a perfectionist, or we don't trust people. And we've got to work through those things and overcome them. Now, I'd like to make a distinction between delegation versus abdication. So some people abdicate a lot. If you're going to delegate effectively, you must be clear on what it is that you're delegating. They must be capable of doing it, and they must have the capacity. Okay. So sometimes what we do is we have someone who understands what they need to do. They know how to do it, but they're our superstar. And so they get a bunch of stuff to do, and they just don't have the capacity. But when you're delegating, if you've been clear, if they are capable, that is, if they are trained and able to do what you're asking them to do, and if they have the capacity, you have every right to look them in the eye and to tell them you can do it. So to put yourself in the position of being able to encourage people on a regular basis, you need to become effective at delegation. But prior to delegation, you must make sure that you are clear on what it is that you're delegating, that they are capable of receiving that and doing it, and they have the capacity. Okay? So, who in your organization needs encouragement? Think about that for a second. You can write down their initials on your piece of paper. Who needs to be sat down with and encouraged that they can do it? Who needs to be given more responsibility? Who needs a little bit of a gentle push to move forward? Who is it that you know you need to give more work to, but for whatever reason, you're holding back and not doing that? Okay. Now, I just want you to raise your hand if you have one person at least that you can encourage in your organization. Okay, good. Excellent. Hands are going up. Beautiful. All right. So that's the first message that you need to communicate. It's encouragement. You can do it. The second one is accountability. And accountability is I think one of the most important, if not the most important aspect of leadership, being able to hold people accountable. Now, accountability, I'll give you a definition: holding people responsible for their actions and outcomes appropriate to their authority and within their realm of responsibility. So let me ask you now, what is your biggest challenge with holding people accountable? Can you just type that into the box for me? What is your biggest challenge with holding people accountable? Matt, not coming off like a jerk. Yep. I know exactly how you feel. That's where it's interesting, Matt. It's interesting for you to think about understanding yourself better. And so even when you don't mean to come off like a jerk. Sometimes I'm just speaking from my own experience. I come off like a jerk sometimes, and I need to think about how to modify my behavior. So that's excellent, Matt. Shane, lack of training and clarity. Okay. Ken, it takes a lot of energy and time. Yes, it does. It does. I admit it takes a lot of energy and time. So that's one of the things you've got to think about as a leader is where you're going to be spending your energy and time. And if you're stuck micromanaging people because you haven't delegated and held them accountable, you're spending your energy and time. It's just a matter of where you're going to spend it. Yeah, not sounding bossy, knowing I'm younger, managing older adults. Madison, that's a challenge. Yep, it is. It is. That's a challenge. Okay, so let me just give you a very simple framework for accountability. Let's assume that you've delegated effectively, that you've been clear, that they're capable, that they have the capacity. When you're having an accountability conversation, the first question you want to ask is, did you do it? Did you do it? And then, if not, why not? And then, how can I help? Very simply, did you do it? If not, why not? How can I help? And one of the problems that happens with accountability is we delegate effectively, but because we don't have accountability follow-up, we are then disappointed with the results that we get. And so you've got to think about, how often do I need to have an accountability conversation with someone based on their level of experience, based on my confidence in them being able to execute the task that I am giving them. So what you want to ask yourself in your organization, who needs accountability? Who do you need to sit down with and have one of those accountable conversations? Did you do it? If not, why not? How can I help? And raise your hand if you can think of one person that you need to have an accountable conversation with. Okay, good. Now, think about this. For those of you who are raising your hands, even for those of you who are not, but you're thinking about that accountable conversation. How long ago should you have had that conversation? Is it something you've been neglecting, or is it something that you're going to be able to do in a timely manner? Because this is one of the keys in life. The more time we allow to go by when it comes to dealing with issues in our business, the more pain is going to increase. And that's why getting into an accountability rhythm where you're having regular accountable conversations with people. Did you do it? If not, why not? How can I help? That's an extremely important piece of your leadership communication and one of the keys to helping you to overcome micromanagement. Okay, so we've talked about encouragement, accountability. Let's talk about recognition. I'd like you to think back to a time when you were recognized, and how did that make you feel? Think back to a time when you were recognized. How did that make you feel? Chat that into the box for me, please. Craig, motivating. Thank you. Valued. Awesome. Thank you, Ken. Awesome. I like that. Proud. Thank you, Chris. Rewarding. Accomplished. Excellent. Proud and embarrassed. That's interesting, Soph. Yeah. Some people are a little bashful when it comes to recognition. I'll touch on that here in a minute. So I'll tell you a little story about one time when I was recognized. I was working for an entrepreneurial company, great bunch of people. I was employee number 4. We were kicking butt, growing this company. And I received the award for Marketer of the Year at the end of the year dinner. The only problem, I was the only person in the marketing department. And I share this story with you because the guys who gave me this award, they had every intention of recognizing me, but they just didn't think through the recognition process. And that's why you need to think about how you're recognizing people in your organization. So when you're recognizing someone, you're saying to them, you did it. You've encouraged them. You can do it. You've held them accountable. Did you do it? And now you can say you did it. So you want to be specific in your recognition to them. I used to work for a guy, he was really good at coming by on a Friday and saying, hey, Eric, the way you handled this situation last Wednesday, I really appreciate it. He was specific in his recognition. He didn't just say, hey, good job, Eric, see you on Monday. And then you want to be personal. And perhaps, Soph, if you think back to the time when you were recognized and you felt a little embarrassed, some people actually get embarrassed when they're publicly recognized and they're not super comfortable with it. So you want to think about, perhaps this person wants some private recognition or maybe a small group recognition, and that would be more appropriate. And then you want to be consistent. You want to be consistent in your recognition. And this is particularly true for your high performers who sometimes you take for granted and you forget about. You know, you get surprised when someone performs well who is perhaps a B player, and so you recognize them. But sometimes you can neglect your A players who do need some recognition for that consistent work that they're doing. So think back again to your org chart and ask yourself, who needs recognition? Who's the person that perhaps you can write a personal note to, or give a gift card to, or just sit down and have a chat with, take them out to lunch? It doesn't necessarily need to be a massive thing, but there's a piece of recognition that you know you need to execute on, a message of recognition. Raise your hand for me if you can think of a person that you need to recognize. Okay, good stuff, guys, good stuff. Now, so as you think through your org chart, you should have at least one person that you can encourage, one person you can hold accountable, one person you can recognize. And your job as a leader is to get into a rhythm of those conversations. You can do it. Did you do it? You did it. Very simple, very straightforward, but it's the consistency of the communication. It's consistency of communication that is really, really important. Okay, interesting. Erwin made a comment here. Sometimes ownership or management needs that too. So let me speak to that real quick. If you are lower down in the org chart, and this is not about kissing anyone's butt or anything like that, but if you think that your leader or the person that you report to could use a little bit of recognition, feel free to give it to them. Feel free to thank them. And you could do it in a genuine way without, kissing up or something like that. You guys know what I'm talking about. But if you saying, man, my leader's kicking some butt here, they're doing a great job, feel free to recognize them and to make that known. And another way of thinking about it is let's say you're at a level of maybe mid-level management and you have a peers who are your mid-level managers as well. Think about how you can make sure that if they're doing a good job, that they get recognition as well. So think not only about the people who report to you, but those that you report to and your peers. Erwin, I appreciate you bringing that up. That's an excellent point. Okay. So we've talked about how to manage yourself. We've talked about high performance. We've talked about encouragement and accountability and recognition. And the last thing we're going to talk about are problems. Problems. Before we do that, I do want to talk for a few minutes here on the leadership development program that I talked to you about earlier. And really what it is a deeper dive into these frameworks that I've been sharing with you. It's a 4-week online program, and it's only for construction people. Construction is unique with challenges that only insiders and experts understand. Generic leadership training is not good enough. You need a course that's crafted exclusively for construction pros and taught by an industry expert. Okay, so as a result of this class, you're going to understand yourself better so that you can be a better leader. You're going to understand how you think and act and how that shapes the way that you lead. And those insights will help you to lead more effectively. You're going to learn how to build better teams and deliver profitable projects. You're going to learn how to have tough conversations without ruining relationships, how to reach agreement on solving problems. We're going to do a lot of work on time management so that you can eliminate chaos, manage interruptions, and really become more effective as a leader and overcome some of that micromanagement that hinders you. Okay. One of the great things about leadership is charisma is not required. You need to be able to communicate clearly and consistently, but we don't need to be some sort of powerful, magnetic personality to be an effective leader. We just need to be consistent. So in the first week of the training, we're going to be talking about understanding yourself and managing your time. Prior to the training starting, you're going to be taking the Profile XT assessment. That's part of the training. And I'm going to be explaining to you in the training why that's important and helping you to understand your assessment and how it relates to your leadership. We're going to be talking about how to ditch time management and focus on time mastery, why learning to say no will help you to stop time chaos, how to prune your schedule to the bare essentials, how to set aside time every week to focus on your most important activities that may not be urgent. We're going to be taking a deep dive into the leadership dashboard so that you understand that and you clarify it and you can then use it effectively to be a better leader. The second week, we're going to talk about building and leading a high-performing team. I'll introduce you to the 90-day high-performance dashboard that you can use with every person that reports to you to help them to focus in on high performance. Week 3, we're going to be diving deeper into that EAR framework, really thinking about your org chart and how you can be using that to effectively communicate. And then week 4, we're going to be talking about leading your team to agreement on how to solve your toughest challenges in less than an hour. This is a tremendously important framework where we're going to be looking at the construction company business model and how you can identify your challenges and problems and lead people to overcoming them. Okay. So this leadership course is going to be online. I know you may be sick of online meetings just a little bit, but I've structured it specifically so that you can get the most out of it. So this is Francisco from SR Freeman. He went through one of my online training courses. And he said, this is my first webinar training class. I thought it was great. You can just read about this here. I promise you that I have so much experience running these Zoom meetings. You're going to get tremendous value from spending time with me over a 4-week period. I am committed to you getting an ROI. Because it's an online session, it's going to be more economical than most classes. It's a great use of your time. You get in, you get out, and you get on with your day. They're 2-hour sessions. And so you're going to be able to focus for that 2 hours, but it's not going to suck up your whole day with commutes and things like that. It's not about an info dump. It's about applying what you learn. So I'm going to be giving you these tools that you can use for the rest of your career to be an effective leader. And it's built by a construction industry expert for construction professionals. We're not going to have any insurance people in the class or folks trying to sell you stuff. It's just going to be all about getting better as a leader. The first session is going to be Tuesday, November 16th. And then we're going to be going November 16th, 23rd, 30th, and December 7th. Now, if you want to sign up for the course, I'm going to chat this link into the box here, and I'm going to make sure that you have it. Let me just go out actually to the page. So you can go to this course page right here, get all of the details, and you can click on the link. There's 2 different options. There's the regular and the premium. With the premium, you get an extra report from the Profile XT. If you sign up multiple people from your company, you get a team report. You get an edited video recording of each session. You get email support from me for 90 days following the course. And you get early bird access to future courses with me. My courses fill up very quickly. And you'll notice here that seating is limited to 25 people, first come, first serve basis. Okay, so the regular price is $2,300. Premium price is $2,400 per person. And you can click on these links here, the buttons. It'll take you out to the web page, and you can sign folks up for the session. Okay. Now, let me just give you a little more details, and then we'll be back to the session. Seating is limited to 25 people, first come, first serve. I am committed to an ROI for you of 5 to 10 times on any money that you invest with me. Okay. And I'm going to give you 100% money back guarantee. And this is how it works. If you attend all the sessions, and at the end of the session, you don't think you get an ROI on your investment, I will gladly refund you the money. So if you pick the premium option, you want a 10 times return, that's $24,000. Plus, I'm gonna put your time valued at $500 an hour. So I'm expecting if you invest $2,400 with me per seat, you'll get a $28,000 return on the time that you invest with me. And if you don't think that you get that through going through the session, I will give you 100% of your money back with no questions asked and a smile and a handshake, and we'll part friends. Okay. Just want to make sure that you're clear on that. So if you want to enroll, you can go constructiongenius.com/the-shift sign up, and you can sign up there, and you can see the whole sheet there with all the information. If you need to share that with someone in the organization, you can do that. But if you want to enroll, I need you to enroll by the end of next week so that you can take the Profile XT and be ready for the first session in November. Okay. All right. Raise your hand if you're still with me so far. Beautiful. Okay, great. Let's go back to the training now. Thank you for your attention there during that portion of the program. Now let's talk about problems. All right. Now, I'd like you to think about this. What is the biggest problem that you're facing at the moment? The ideal in construction is that we bid the work, we plan the work, we build it, and we get paid. A nice, pretty triangle. But we understand that that's not the reality, right? It's more like a project has a bunch of bouncing balls all around it. It's multifaceted. There's uncertainties, there's unknowns, there's many people involved. And there's things that we have no control over, some control over, and then we have total control over some stuff. Not to mention all the coronavirus stuff that's come in, the delays, the PPE stuff that we've got to do, the drain on our resources as a result of that. tons of problems. Okay. So what I'd like you to think about right now, and you can chat it into the box if you want, you don't have to, but what is the biggest problem that you're facing in your construction business at the moment? What's the biggest problem that you're facing? You can chat it in if you'd like, or you can just decide to just think about it. But what is the biggest problem that you're facing at the moment? Okay, Erwin, lack of qualified people. Yeah, Craig, material lead times. There are no magic pills for that. I'll tell you that. Ken, manpower. Yes. All right. Now, too many distractions. That's interesting, Matt. Okay. So when you meet together, you've got to be able to address your problems, come up with ideas, and get into action. And again, this is one of the frustrations that many folks have, is that they can't seem to get to agreement as a team on how to solve problems. And they think that's either because they're lousy leaders or their people don't want to get into an agreement or come to an agreement. And many times I don't find that's the case. The problem is the way that you structure your meetings. So what I'm going to be teaching you right now is a way to structure problem-solving meetings so that you can reach an agreement. And I've been using this process with construction companies since 2004. It's a tremendously helpful process. It's a clear, repeatable process to help you get clarity, to help everyone buy in, and to get you into action on how to solve your problems. And if you can do that, then you can get some success going here, okay? Now, it's very, very important that you think clearly through this. So I've asked you to think about your problems. You can list your top 3 if you'd like, okay? The truth hurts, though. And this is not a strategy. Burying your head in the sand is not a strategy. Saying, hey, suck it up, we got to plow through, that is not a strategy either. All progress begins with telling the truth. Okay, so when you have a problem, you need to get the team together. You need to get a diverse bunch of folks together sometimes to get their feedback, and you need to prepare. And one of the things you have to understand, and this is key, try and get a diverse group of people together to solve problems, because think about your company as a great big beach ball. And when I'm standing on the yellow segment, I see yellow, but you're on the blue segment, you see blue, you have a completely different perspective. And those perspectives are very important. So as you come into these meetings, particularly when you are looking to solve a problem as a leader, it's so vital that you control yourself, that you don't come in with a rage or under pressure or afraid, but that you get a control of yourself, that you're ready to listen, that you're ready to really do less speaking than you might usually do, and that you have an open mind, okay? So you want to set ground rules for these meetings. Number 1, no distractions, put away those mobile devices. Number 2, no pointing fingers or dismissing other people's ideas. You as a leader need to set the groundwork and set the ground rules so that everyone feels able to participate. And then thirdly, you want to make sure that everyone participates. No one gets to hide in a corner. Okay. Then you want to be able to generate some ideas. So let me tell you how to generate ideas. First thing you need to do is you need to frame the problem clearly. And I'm going to be talking about that here in a minute. Second, you want to be able to generate ideas using a process that I call green light thinking. And thirdly, you want to prioritize those ideas. So you want to be able to frame your problems. You want to be able to generate ideas and then prioritize them. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is to pick the top problem that you are facing at the moment. And I'll just give you some examples just so that you can think through this. So let's say safety is a problem for you. Then to frame that problem clearly, you can say it in this way. In what specific ways can we ensure our employees' safety? Let's say cash flow is an issue. Then you could frame it like this. In what specific ways can we improve cash flow? Here's another way. Let's say you need to improve production. In what specific ways can we improve production? Now, as you look at this question framework, what is the word that keeps reoccurring? What's the word that keeps reoccurring? This is not a trick question. Type that into the box for me. What's the word that keeps reoccurring? Yep, Matt, you got it. My questions are easy. The word is specific. Now, why do you think it's important that when you're generating ideas to overcome problems, that those ideas are specific? Type that into the box for me. Why is it important to come up with specific ideas? Craig, they can be tracked. Okay, excellent. To address immediate needs. Thank you, Robert. Measurable. Thank you, Soph. Focus. Yes, Jim. Clarity and focus. Thank you, Monica. Okay, very good. reduce the likelihood of misunderstanding. Okay, very good. And it can help you to get into action, not to go on different tangents. Yes, very, very good. So I'll give you an example from one of my clients. They wanted to improve quality in the field in the next 90 days. So they framed their problem very well. They then went into green light thinking mode. And let me explain it to you. The way you do green light thinking is you state the challenge clearly and so that everyone understands. And then you give them 2 minutes, everyone writing for 2 minutes, as many ideas as they can come up with to overcome the challenge. And I call it green light thinking because there's no bad ideas. When you're going down the road, you come to a green light, you just keep going. Okay. So there's no bad ideas. Okay. Now for 2 minutes, you brainstorm on how you can solve the issue. And this is specifically from a client of mine. They came up with, in 2 minutes, a number of ideas, and they came up with a total of 15. Okay. 15 ideas. And you see there's a variety of different ideas here, from holding people accountable for what they've learned, accuracy in estimating, placement of labor, okay, monthly format development application, evaluations rather. So they identified a number of different ideas here. After you've identified the ideas, you then want to prioritize those ideas. And so what they did is they voted on the ideas. They voted on the ideas. And what happened is from 15 ideas, they narrowed it down to their top 4. And really they had 2 that came to the forefront. Number 1 was walk jobs more frequently. And number 2 was get little e into the field. And little e is their quality guy. So they want to get their quality guy into the field more often, and they want to walk jobs more frequently. So they went from this question to generating a bunch of ideas to voting on the ideas and identifying their top 2. So raise your hand for me if you can see the logic of this approach. Okay, good, good. Very, very important here. They identified their most valuable ideas, and their 2 most valuable ideas, again, was to walk jobs more frequently and get little e in the field. And then they built a plan to help them to execute that idea. And I'm going to get to that here in a minute. Because once you got your idea, you can get good vibes, but then do nothing about that. Okay? So what you want to be able to do is to build an action plan to get into action and overcome the problem once you've reached agreement. And that action plan has 3 parts to it: your rally cry, your areas of fierce focus, and then your critical numbers. The rally cry is simply a statement that is singular, understandable, and compelling. So that if you woke up in the middle of the night and I asked you, what's the rally cry to overcome your problem, you'd be able to give it to me. So for instance, on June 6, 1944, when the Allies invaded France, the rally cry, after all the years of planning and all the years of preparation, was really simple. And everybody understood it, from the people landing on the beach to the generals behind the lines. The rally cry was to beat Germany. So you want a clear rally cry with any planning that you do. And the rally cry should encompass really your most valuable idea. Then you want areas of fierce focus. Those are the areas of activity or execution that you need to focus on in order for the rally cry to be achieved. So as the Allies were going across France into Germany, they had to conquer a variety of different towns. They had to have focus on a variety of different issues. But in order to achieve the rally cry, they had to have areas of fierce focus. And then finally, there's critical numbers. Those are the measurements that tell you whether or not you're executing the areas of fierce focus so that you can then achieve the rally cry. This kind of planning is really critical. And if you say, I don't have time for this, then your problems are going to continue on. So let me just give you an illustration of how this planning works. One of my clients, they wanted to kill bad jobs. That was their rally cry. And they had 3 areas of fierce focus: identify scope, eliminate cost to complete, estimate cost to complete, and then production planning. And the initials here are the initials of the people accountable for achieving those areas of fierce focus. And then they had some critical numbers. In this case, it was dates. They wanted to get the scope done by 9:30. They wanted cost to complete by 10:14 and draft production by 10:14. So they had their rally cry, their areas of fierce focus, and then their critical numbers. Now raise your hand for me if you can see the logic of building an action plan like this. Okay, So this is something you want to do once you come to an agreement on how to solve your problems. And the key is this: if you build a plan and it doesn't work, then if you're wrong, you just come back and get into discussion and make sure that you refine your plan. You want to follow up on that plan on a regular basis, okay? Because once you've got your problem identified, you've generated ideas, you can then get into action. All right, so we've gone through 4 frameworks here. We've talked about managing yourself through the leadership dashboard. We've talked about high performance. We've talked about the EAR framework, and we've talked about the problem-solving process. So as we're wrapping up here, what I'd like you to do is to think about how you can get into action. At the beginning, we talked about how time is money, how I want you to get ROI on the time you've invested with me here today. So what's that one thing you're going to do as a result of what you've learned here today? What's the one thing? Just give me some feedback here. What's that one idea that you're going to take with you from the session here today? Alexi, the EAR framework. That's beautiful. I tell you, you could take that for the rest of your career. That's terrific, Alexi. Excellent. EAR. Thank you, Greg. Understanding EAR. Thank you, Robert. Very good. Matt, figuring out your vision. Beautiful. Thank you. That's beautiful. Applying EAR to the org chart. Ken, excellent. Beautiful. I like that. Craig, yeah, green light thinking. You got to encourage that with your folks. That's beautiful. Excellent. Steve, vision. Very good. Clarity, capability, capacity. Madison, excellent. Beautiful. I love that. EAR. Okay, a lot of people going for the EAR here today. That's beautiful. All right, excellent. This is really wonderful here. A good plan violently executed today is far better than a perfect plan tomorrow. Okay? Now, we asked the question as far as micromanagement is concerned. How do you fix it? So let me ask you, just raise your hand if you've come up with at least one idea here today that'll help you with micromanagement. Just raise your hand for me if there's one idea that you've taken from this session that'll help you with micromanagement. Okay, good. I'm getting some good feedback here. Excellent. Excellent. So then let me just ask you, for those of you who've raised your hand, just type into the box for me, what's the one idea you think is going to help you with that micromanagement that we began to talk about at the beginning? Alexi, encouragement. Okay, very good. Do less better. Thank you, Shane. I like that. Very good. Ask others for ideas. Thank you, Soph. Let go a little more. That's good, Ken. Let me say this. Don't just say, I'm not going to micromanage anymore. Don't do that. Just think about what's one area, what's one person, what's one task that I can let go a little bit. Okay? Incremental progress is absolutely key here. Really want to thank you for your participation here today. Again, we do have that. Can we get a PDF of the presentation? Yeah, I'm going to send you out actually a little bonus here. I'm going to send you out those slides. Erwin, how many sessions for the training? 4 sessions for the training. 4 2-hour sessions. So you can see how we went 90 minutes here today, Erwin. The sessions are a little bit longer. You notice we didn't rush through the training here today, but we did cover quite a little bit of ground. You can go out to the page, constructiongenius.com/the-shift sign up, and you can get all the details there. If you have questions for me that you'd like to ask me offline, just shoot me an email, eric@constructiongenius.com. I'll put that email here into the box. And again, typing in the page that you can go to, 100% money back guarantee. Seating is limited though. We're only going to have 25 people. You stuck around to the end. So I'm going to send you that, how to stop being overwhelmed and start being effective. I'm also going to send out the slides. And let me ask you, raise your hand if you'd like me to send you a recording of the webinar. Just raise your hand real quick. Okay, I see that. Okay, so you guys want me to send you a recording. I'm going to do that as an extra special bonus. I wasn't planning on it, but as an extra special bonus, I'll send out a edited recording of the webinar. And this is going to be helpful to you because if you sign up for the premium, you will get an edited recording of every single webinar, training webinar. And so I'll send you out an edited version of this session, and that will help you to get a sense of how it flows in terms of the edited session. Okay, so if you have questions, email me. If you want to sign up, click on the link, sign up as many people as you'd like, but understand that it's first come, first serve. So once you hit 25, or once I hit 25 people, I'm going to take the page down and you'll have to wait for the next session, which will be next year. You can get me at eric@constructiongenius.com. Happy to chat with you about any of the details of the training, any questions that you might have. If you go to the page, you'll see plenty of testimonials from people who've taken the course and what that's all about. And so you'll get a real good sense of what it's like to be in my training classes. All right, I want to respect everyone's time here. We're at 12:20, so we've taken a good chunk of time. I want to encourage you, take the one thing that you've learned today, use and apply it in your leadership. Think about how you can overcome your micromanagement as a result of that, and think about how you can improve. Thanks again to everyone for attending, for participating. And if you do have any questions, feel free to let me know. Robert, you're welcome. Appreciate you attending. Alexi, thank you as well. Monica, you're welcome. Craig, thank you very much. Elijah, Madison, thank you. Excellent. Steve, thank you as well. Awesome. Brandon, Soph, gracias. Erwin, you're welcome. All right. Awesome. We're going to end it up here. Have a terrific day, guys. Thank you very much.